and welcome on in to NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing. As we wrap up the month of May into June already, Chris Wilner, Kyle Rickey, once again joining you. I'm in the Charlotte, North Carolina studios, Concord, North Carolina. Kyle's way back up at Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut. Kyle, we're into the month of June. The sun is out behind you. Lots of racing going on. I think we had one of the most special weekends of racing here this past Memorial Day weekend. How was your week? And certainly a lot to talk about this week.
Well, unfortunately, it rained out all but one feature. We got one feature in here, and then the bottom dropped out. But other than that, there was a lot of racing this weekend. I think starting on Thursday night on Flow Racing. I mean, every night of the week I think has something or had something. But right through Sunday's marathon of Monaco, Indy, and Charlotte. A lot happening, a lot to talk about. Short tracks. I think every short track in the country had a special event. So certainly a lot to talk about this week.
Absolutely. And we've got a pretty good show for you folks at home, too. We're going to have Tommy Baldwin Jr., the owner of Tommy Baldwin Racing, that iconic 7NY, on a tear. Speaking of month of success for him, he's on a 3-race win streak, just picked up the checkered flag with a new driver this week was Mike Christopher Jr., just his first win in 3 career starts in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. So we'll have Tommy on, pick his brain about not only this season, but also talk a little bit about what he thinks just as a whole, modified racing in New England, and obviously with his NASCAR success and career, kind of what he thinks of where we're at with the next gen car in the Cup Series. But we are going to talk about Mike Christopher Jr. to start off the show because, boy, it was a show out at Jennerstown as the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour wrapped up a 3 consecutive race stretch of their season. Finally get a little bit of a breather. But, Kyle, we got another first-time winner, Mike Christopher Jr. The name's familiar, but first time we got to see Mike Christopher Jr. in victory lane.
The son of Mike Christopher Sr. and, of course, the nephew of the late, great Ted Christopher that has found so much success here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Mike Christopher Jr. has also found a lot of success here at Stafford, including a big win 1 year ago next week with Tommy Baldwin Jr. In an Open 80 event here at Stafford. So not a huge surprise to see him jump in that car at Jennerstown and claim the win, but it's how he did it. I mean, he took the lead from Tyler Ripkema late in the event, and boy, once he made his move, he was able to pull away and win by a good distance. So congratulations to Mike and to Tommy on a 3rd career win. They got something figured out right now in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour.
Yeah, they certainly do. And 2 iconic names into victory lane, certainly special. And for Tommy, that's 2 drivers now out of one of the last 3 races for him. So if he doesn't have a second car ready, hopefully he will. We'll find out from him later if he does, because, boy, that team is on a roll. So that'll kick off our coast-to-coast top 7 of our top 7 winners over the past weekend. Number 2 goes to Brandon Jones, the ARC Menard Series in NASCAR's backyard at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Yes, and we're not talking about Xfinity Series. This is ARCA, so you heard that correctly. Brandon making a rare appearance down in the ARC Menard Series. Had to survive a wild race, and I mean, it pretty much had everything. We had a fire in the cockpit for Parker Chase. We had teammates ruffling feathers in Raja Caruth and Nick Sanchez, but at the end of the day, one of NASCAR's up-and-coming stars in the Xfinity Series, Brandon Jones, got it done. Kyle, what'd you think of that race at Charlotte?
It was a wild race, as you mentioned, and we expected that. A lot of incidents, a big field or a bigger field than what we've seen in the ARCA Menard Series national schedule this year. Not a surprise that the NASCAR Xfinity driver and pretty solid equipment get out front and lead most of the event, with Brandon Jones claiming the win, getting a little extra track time there, preparing for the Xfinity Series race the next day. Overall, a good event. Amber Balkin, we had her on a couple of weeks ago, besting her career best of now a 7th. She finished, 8th or 9th a few weeks back. So she's continuing to find progress. And the battle of the Rev Racing drivers atop the championship standings, it looks like it's going to roll on through most of the summer months.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Amber, she called it too. She said, I'm going to best that 9th place finish at Talladega. She certainly did. So great job for her. All right, so moving on to number 3 of our coast-to-coast top 7, I'm going to give it to Josh Berry. And I know we're talking NASCAR Xfinity Series again back at Charlotte, but this is a career full-circle moment for Josh. The short track ace for years made his name in the late model stocks and late model divisions for Junior Motorsports, got his opportunity there with the Xfinity car. not only has won races, but now gets to win at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and his career started at Concord Motor Speedway in the short track. So pretty cool full circle moment for Josh. That's got to be special.
Grew up in that region of the country, found so much success, built a fan base in that region of the country, found at Hickory Motor Speedway, obviously, most recently, Concord before that. So to come home, win on the big track on a big weekend like the Coca-Cola 600 race weekend, pretty special. Wasn't easy for him. His junior motorsports teammates were probably his biggest competitors for 300 miles on Saturday afternoon, but he was able to hold them off.
Boy, junior motorsports so good right now, too.
They
For
got
sure.
it going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to our Coast to Coast top 7, number 4. We're going to go open wheel racing, still grassroots racing. He's made his time also on some of the stock car side of things. Bobby Santos III, a legendary name when it comes to New England short track racing, often runs with the USAC National Series when it comes to Silver Crown and pavement midget racing, and he whooped on him in not one, but 2 races as part of the Carbonite Classic, back again at IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park, a part of the Indy 500 weekend, sweeping the midget and Silver Crown portions. Kyle, nobody better when it comes to running pavement open wheel races than you talk about Cody Swanson and Bobby Santos III, and Bobby got the best of Cody twice this past weekend.
Because Cody got the best of Bobby in the Silver Crown race a year ago, and Bobby wasn't about to forget that. Bobby and Cody, but they both have that place figured out. No matter what you put them in at IRP, they seem to do well. And this week it was Bobby's turn to sweep the night. You know, he dominated the midget race, came back later in the evening and led all but, I think, 1 lap, 99 of 100 laps in the Silver Crown race. Once he got out front, he was gone.
Ryan Newman, 11th place finish. And a shout out to Taylor Ferns, too. Best female ever finisher in a USAC event, 3rd in the Silver Crown portion. And I think she's got the top 4 best overall results for a female in USAC in that series. So pretty special for Taylor. Hopefully we'll have to have her on the show in the coming weeks. We're going to move on to number 5. That's going to be Amber Lynn, winning Bowman Gray Stadium Sportsman 100. Not an easy place to get a win, but yet alone 100 laps for the Sportsman, Kyle. That was a heck of a job by Amber.
First female driver to do that, win in the Sportsman in a 100-lapper. And again, she dominated. They did a random pill draw in the field house before to determine the top 8 or the top 10. She pulled the pole, and once she got out front, there was no stopping her. Even hinted in Victory Lane post-race that a modified might be in her future. So we'll see. But right now, challenging for that Sportsman Championship here in 2022 at the stadium.
Gotta love those little teases in Victory Lane because it makes you wonder what's going to be happening next. All right, number 6 of our Coast to Coast top 7, Hunter Robbins won the Disturbing the Peace 100, the Show Me the Money series out at Montgomery, a staple in that Southern late model rankings, and he's back atop the power rankings, actually, with his 3rd career win, running for Donnie Wilson. Awfully familiar with Victory Lane. Hunter Robbins, one to watch.
Is this the 3rd win for him this year? I feel like every time we talk about racing down at that part of the country, he's either Factor or in Victory Lane. We had him on the show earlier this year, and no doubt having a career year for Hunter, picking up the win at Montgomery.
Yep, also winner of the Alabama 200 this year when we had him on, so pretty special for Hunter. And rounding out our Coast to Coast top 7 here for our previous week's winners, Ben Ashline, his 3rd career Coastal 200, another marquee late model event, Kyle, for you folks up in the Northeast. The longest race at the racetrack Wickaset. Did I say that correctly? Wickaset. See, all the New England people are going to be yelling at me, but Ben gets his 3rd career Coastal 200. Pretty special.
Yeah, and a great field. That was Wiscasset.
Thank you, Kyle.
Over the weekend. And so, congratulations to Ben picking up his 3rd checkered flag in that premier event.
All right, time for our shout-outs of the week, Kyle. We get, I think I went for 2 this week because it was hard, and both are on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. R.J. Braun winning his the second round of the Slinger Elite 8 Series out at Slinger, one of the most iconic Midwest short tracks that we have. He held off, I think the veterans combined for 10 track championships between the 3 of them, and he held them off. The youngster, R.J. Braun, getting his round number 2 win of the Slinger Elite Series, so hats off to him. Not easy beating a pair of veterans that included the likes of Brad Muller and Lower Bennett. Gavin Boschel, and this is a name you folks at home are going to want to keep an eye on over the next several years as he gets ready to compete at the higher forms of the short track ranks, winning the inaugural Extreme Outlaw Midget Showdown at Millbridge Speedway on the dirt. The midgets were back this past weekend, and got a good job of basically holding off some of the best when it comes to midget racing, and he does it at the ripe old age of 13 years old, so pretty special for Gavin. Kyle,
I
who's
have
your
two.
shout-outs of the week?
Yeah, I have two as well. There was a lot of racing going on this weekend. You stole my thunder for one of them a little bit ago in Taylor Ferns, picking up her first podium, first female to finish in a podium spot on the USAC Silver Crown Trail, besting her mark of a fourth, which happened in 2013 at Eldora. So congratulations to Taylor. That first win, I'm sure, right around the corner in USAC Silver Crown competition. And Chase Dowling, who from this part of the country, who once again driving for Ben Dodds Jr., who is a co-announcer with me here at Stafford Speedway, a longtime car owner up here in the Northeast, picking up the race win in the tri-track modifieds at the Thunder Road Speed Bowl up in Barrie, Vermont. So congratulations to Chase. Another, I don't want to call him a young driver anymore. He's been around a while, but whenever he's behind the wheel of a modified, he's one to deal with at the front of the field, whether it be on the local level or in the touring level. And picked up another checkered flag at Thunder Road this past Saturday. Modifieds look good back at Thunder Road for the first time in many, many years.
Certainly do. All right, those are our shout-outs of the week. If you have an idea for who we should give a shout-out to this coming weekend for racing, don't forget to tag us on social media at NASCAR Coast to Coast, Kyle Ricky, and Chris Wilner 26 on Twitter. Find us. Let us know who you think our shout-outs should be for this weekend's racing, and you may just hear them on the show next week. All right, well, we mentioned Tommy Baldwin Jr. And his team, that 7NY, the iconic modified, on a tear. 3 straight wins, the latest coming this past weekend at Jennerstown in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. We have him on the line, so coming up next, we're going to pick his brain because he's not only been an iconic car owner, but he's also produced some pretty good spotters, too, as well. So he can do it all when it comes to NASCAR and short track racing. So Tommy Baldwin Jr. coming up next on NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Wheel and Modified Tour, ARC Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today. And joining us now on NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing, the one, the only, Mr. Tommy Baldwin Jr., directly from the shop after another big weekend in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour Series. Another big win for you, Tommy. Congratulations. Is that car made of gold, or it feels like anybody who's touched it has found victory lane here over the last few weeks?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. We've done a lot of racing so far this year. Started our season back in January testing, and we learned a lot, and we've applied it to every race, and that seems to be working.
I know we talked during the off season that there was a new car being built. Is this the new car that's been finding all the success?
Actually, this is the older one that we rebuilt over the winter. We've only got one race on the brand new car. That was the Sizzler, and blaming myself for that mess up there. But we'll be running that one next week at the Stafford Open 80 race, and we'll do a little testing before that, and hopefully that thing will be right. But our other car in between these two cars is, that's been our Southern car on the Smart Tour with Caleb Hetty driving, and we've won that and close to leading the points there too. So.
Obviously, the most recent success with Mike Christopher Jr. here this past weekend at Jennerstown. But I want to go back a few weeks when Jimmy Blewett said, hey, I can't make it. Got to take care of my daughter. We're thankfully learning, hopefully, that she's going to be okay. And I know he's been down there taking care of her. But describe what the past 3 weeks has been like for you as a car owner, now being like, okay, what are my options? And it looks like you got some pretty good ones there, starting with Doug Coby.
Yeah, I mean, that was we got lucky there. Obviously he hasn't been driving full time, and I looked at his record real quick, and obviously he's done well at Riverhead, and I said, hey, you want to drive the thing? And luckily he said yes. And then Jimmy needed another week, and Coby agreed to drive it again, which was good. And Mike Christopher was always on the schedule to drive Jennerstown, where Jimmy will pick back up at Monadnock and Riverhead as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm used to it. I've had a lot of drivers drive the Cup teams, switching seats every week. So it's really not that big a deal for me. It kind of opened up some new doors of the thought process going into the rest of the year with our schedule and what we have going on. I was expecting to be pretty good this year and be close to leading both the Smart Tour and the NASCAR Modified Wheeling Tour points. And we're going to have 3 conflicting races towards the end of the year that we're going to have to work hard at being at both events. So I think with Doug coming into the picture with his group of people, Jimmy's group of people, I think it's kind of like set the tone of how we're going to do it. So we'll see what happens. But we got a lot more racing to go before we get to that point. But we have at least some plans in place.
So other than two families that have been involved in modified racing for decades and decades and decades, and I've seen the highs and lows of the sport and I've seen the highs and lows of life, how did you and Mike Christopher Jr. come together?
Well, I mean, I've always been somebody that's looked for young kids, but with a lot of talent, and obviously the Christopher name goes deep, like you said, and kid can drive, and I think he's proven it. I think he's won 4 races for me out of 8, 9. Should have won two others. So he's done a lot of winning in this 7NY so far, and we got to keep it going with him. I ran him in some races last year, and kind of see how he did at certain tracks, so I can pick a good schedule for him for my plan for this year, what we needed to do to chase points. And I got lucky at Jennerstown. He picked right up on it pretty good, and did obviously started 8th and drove to the front, won the race. So good start of the tour. Finished 3rd at New Smyrna. I mean, so he's got two tour starts, a third, first and third. That's not bad for helping this team leading in the points so far.
Not bad at all. As a car owner, though, how difficult is it on this side of the grassroots racing to have an eye for maybe somebody that's going to be, the next great modified driver? Obviously, it's hard when you get to the grassroots level because a lot of the young kids are still getting their, feet wet in racing. But what are you looking for? Because obviously you found some good ones, whether it was Mike Christopher Jr. with the name or you had John McKennedy, several years ago.
Yeah, and we got Caleb Hetty on the team too. He just came right out of the Legends cars. I just watched him running some races. I like kids that race clean, that know how to pass. I don't like kids that run into each other and try to make the pass. And Caleb was one of those kids that he passed for the lead, and he was fast all the time, and he got right in this thing and did the same thing. And Michael's no different. I feel we got to get Michael a little bit more aggressive than he is. But that'll come in time with me talking to him a little bit more. You got to understand he drives the family equipment. He's got to keep it clean. This racing costs a lot of money, but there's probably some races that he's given up. I've watched in the past that if he was a little bit more aggressive, not wrecking the guy, but just on the pass, that he probably could have won. So I keep my eye on that. But yeah, I mean, this kid's around with so much talent nowadays, and obviously we don't do this for free. So if there's sponsors and these kids, have the will to drive NASCAR modified, which a lot of drivers have come out of the NASCAR modified ranks and made it to the Cup level or the next the other levels of this Truck and Xfinity series. So this is a great learning curve to get there for sure.
What's the modified tour now off for a couple of weeks as far as the NASCAR tour? What's the schedule look like going forward? Is Jimmy ready to come back and run, I guess, his scheduled races here for the summer months?
Yeah, and we got some other things cooking with Doug that we'll probably do coming up too. And Mikey's schedule's pretty much set. I think we might have to move one race with Mikey with what's going on with the conflicting events coming up late September. But yeah, we got a lot of racing coming up. I think we got probably 30 more races to go this year. So yeah, we got some good fun race tracks to be at, and I like going to tracks that I've never been at before. It's pretty cool, to do that. No matter what level of racing it is, it's fun. I missed Thunder Road on Sunday, this past Sunday. I just didn't have the engine ready and didn't have anything ready, with the weather, and I couldn't make Claremont in that, which I hated, not doing the triple. But at least we ran good at Jennerstown and left there with the win, and got a little bit more points in the points lead.
To go back, I think you have one of the coolest stories in terms of just your career and all that you've accomplished, making it all the way up through NASCAR, both as, on the crew chief side and then ownership side and everything's like that. When did the racing bug, though, growing up in Long Island, because folks watching at home, if they didn't know, they could tell by your accent, you're a proud boy from Long Island area. Where did it initially hit for you, the racing bug?
I don't. It started so early, man. I don't even know if I know what else to do. To be honest with you, my dad owned a repair shop and a gas station, which now I own up in Long Island. We own two of them. Actually, now we got over 30 employees up at Baldwin Automotive. But it started early. I was there at probably 6, 7 years old, starting to work, pumping gas and checking oil, and just gradually moved into the shop and started. He taught me how to clean the shops the right way. The first thing, and the second thing was clean the race cars the proper way, and start picking up wrenches. So I got lucky enough that my house was close to the shop, and I could go there every day and work my guts out right alongside my dad. And he taught me everything about building race cars and maintaining them, and it made the transition moving down south to the cup level pretty easy, to be honest with you, as far as being ready for that type of work. The work ethic that needed to be done, the demanding of hours and what needed to be done in a cup level back in the day. So it worked out well.
What drew you back to the modifieds?
I don't know. I just, I don't know, man. I've always, I was gone for 25 years, right? And I didn't pay, I paid attention to it a little bit when my dad was still alive and racing, and I didn't really do much. Only when we, with a cup and modifieds were racing together, I'd watch and pay attention. But I didn't know who was winning, who was losing, who was winning championships for all those years. And I just decided, hey, I want to do something. I don't want to get out of racing. I don't want to, after I sold my cup team, I didn't want to get out completely. So I said, let me get back in this. I'm going to run 5, 6 races, go have some fun. And now obviously it's turned into over 40 a year, and we got, this thing rolling, and started another rolling racing team again. And we got Legends cars, we got modifieds, we're going to have crate cars with the kids. So we got all kinds of stuff happening.
You mentioned your father, Tom Baldwin. How big of an influence was he in your early career, and how much does he still influence you now? Obviously with what you've learned as a kid and as a young man and growing up through your career, because I know he was somebody very special to you.
Yeah, I mean, just, the guy just taught me how to work hard, and, you got to earn everything, you do in life, and you got to keep your head down and keep digging, and, don't pay attention to the people, negative things that's going on around you. You gotta, you're the only one that can make things right, and make things, move forward in your life in this world. So I never seen the guy quit, man. I seen him get his butt kicked day in, day out, but every day he got up the next day and was ready for anything that hit him. And I try to do the same thing, just it's the way, I don't know any better, and obviously running back the black and red 7NY and keeping his legacy alive is important to our family. And yeah, I mean, it's an important number in the NASCAR modified series and modifieds as a whole, so it's fun to keep it rolling, and now starting to see the benefits of it for sure.
Claimed one of his biggest wins, track right behind me here at the Stafford Speedway in the CarQuest 300 all those years ago. Let's talk about, you mentioned modified racing and how you could have pulled the triple this weekend. There's a lot of modified options up here in the Northeast now, a lot of different tours and open shows. You and Mikey won one of those here at Stafford a year ago. When you look at the big picture, the health of modified racing, how do you see it as a team owner?
I think it's awesome. But between Stafford's open races and the Tri-Track series and the NASCAR modified series and the Outlaw series and, the Smart Tour, there's over 100 modifieds roaming around right now racing, and everybody, it seems like all the different series have met everybody's niches. You know what I'm saying? Some guys who probably didn't have enough money to run the tour have other options to run, the Tri-Track or the open series at Stafford or the Outlaw series, or come down during the cold, months up north and race some smart races, which some guys have done. So, I think it's helped. I'm hoping that they all keep communicating and try to keep it all the same going, so we move forward. I hope, no one changes their mind and changes rules, and we're going to have to do it this way because they want to. As long as they keep everything the same, all these open series, and keep it as close to the modified tour as it possibly can, except for obviously the engines are different, which, we all understand why. But if we can keep it all close, we're going to see nothing but all these series growing. The only thing is we can't have too much of it, right? We can't have, we can't have all of it going on all the time. So that will hurt everybody's stuff. Obviously Stafford's really strong on Friday nights because I don't know anything else besides Stafford on Friday night racing, right? And I don't think any other fan does. So I don't think that'll hurt one bit. But yeah, as long as we keep everything the same, we're going to be in good shape.
And you mentioned the growth just in terms of the state of the sport, but I think a big part of that is going to be the reach you guys get on Flow Racing and streaming partners like what Flow's been able to do, throwing a bunch of resources into grassroots racing. We've talked to the drivers on the show about how they feel about it, but as a team owner, that's got to be good exposure for you guys, especially at this level. And I'm sure you've been seeing the benefits this year.
Yeah, I think this year is a very important part of what we got going on. I think if we can gain all the statistics of, all the feedback from Flow of how much TV time and what the value is, that's the next thing we got to learn. What is the value of what Flow is bringing to our race car and our sponsors? If we can understand that at the end of the year, then we can put together good proposals and go after, more sponsors and more partners. Because if we can prove that this is a gain, which it is, we know that. But now we need the statistics. We need the feedback now from you guys and Flow and everybody else to say this is what it's worth. Just like the Cup stuff. We need a value on it. And if we can get this going and understand the value of it, we can start selling. It's just going to help all of us.
My final question for you. You mentioned 40-plus race season. What's next? What's this weekend with the NASCAR Tour off now the next few weeks?
This weekend's off. This weekend I'm taking I'm gonna a little reboot and probably go to the beach and have a little cocktail. But I'm going to take the weekend off, and then we'll start with the Stafford Open 80 next Friday. And then the next week we'll hit it pretty hard. And like I said, we got some things brewing for Monadnock and Riverhead. I'm not going to say anything yet, but we're finalizing some things, and there might be 2 cars going. You never know, and both those places. So yeah, we're going to hit it pretty hard. Coming up, we got some fun tracks, Monadnock, right? And what's that? I think we got Wall next with Jimmy there. So excited to keep this rolling. And I know we got, Waterford Tri-Tracks coming up. I think we got Thompson Wednesday night show, I think, coming up. So there's all kinds. I got Legends Racing, on some out and on Mondays and Tuesdays. And we have North Wilkesboro coming up in the beginning of August. That's going to be a great Tuesday, Wednesday night event. I'm hoping Flow does it, to be honest with you. It's going to be a great event. So we got all kinds of stuff going on. We're going to be everywhere.
No rest for the wicked, but I'm glad you are at least this weekend. That sounds like a plan. Going to the beach, crack a few cold ones, just enjoy the success that you've had. My final question for you, and I've just been curious, I know you haven't been in the Cup Series since 2020, but do you still pay attention a whole lot? Do you still, what are your thoughts of where we're at with this next-gen car? Would that be an interest of you, because they want to make this next-gen car something a little bit more, even playing field, getting some new teams, and we've seen some new teams come in this year. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have any more interest to get back into NASCAR, or are you pretty happy with where you're at?
Pretty happy where I'm at. I did my 25 years. I did Jacques Villeneuve Daytona with the 27 car, and I had some fun there. And then we went to Coda, and I did that a little bit. But the car is awesome. I mean, I tell everybody it's a real pain in the ass to work on, but these things are so fun to work on because they're very adjustable, going fast. But it's still. You can own a team, which is great, but you need all the resources, you need all the money. And it's great that, the teams like Trackhouse and Denny Hamlin started, and Michael Jordan started a team because it's instant resources. They didn't have to start like me with nothing and try to make it. I think those days are over, to be honest with you. So I got out at the right time, I believe. There was a lot of money getting ready to be spent on these new cars. I mean, obviously I knew it was coming. So it was time to, put my 25 years in. I still haven't gotten retirement checks from the NASCAR, but yeah, it's I'm having fun. I'm back to I don't know any better but racing, but I was having fun no matter what. But really having fun now.
What do you think we're going to see at Gateway this weekend with these Cup cars? I don't know if have you been out there with the trucks or Xfinity or anything like that. What do you think we're going to see?
I did do some testing with the Cup car years and years ago. There, it's pretty similar to New Hampshire. I think, with these new cars, there's going to be a lot of shifting going on. You got some slow corners and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if somebody's right, they're going to be fast for sure. And it's kind of like reminds me of a place like New Hampshire type place. You got to have the car on the ground and getting off the corner, and they're going to be shifting a lot there, I believe. And I think it's going to be a good race. If Goodyear brings the right tire, soft enough tire, there's going to be some good racing. If they don't bring the right tire like they brought it, from Martinsville, I think it's going to affect everything. But they've been pretty good on there. They've been, you got to give Goodyear a lot of credit. They've been pretty good on for the most part. I think you guys have seen, we've all seen a lot of great racing this year.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And thank you so much for your time, Tommy. We appreciate it. Go enjoy a nice, relaxing weekend for once, and maybe check out some of the racing on Flow. What do you think?
Oh, I will. I got this. Tonight's my night to recap on all the Flow races. Yeah, I think the Dirt Series is tonight, right? Tuesday night somewhere. So I'm going to watch that at 10 o'clock at night. It usually comes on. So, yeah, I got my Flow schedule down. It's you can't beat that Flow racing, man. You can't.
You can't. Best value in motorsports for sure. Well, Tommy, appreciate it, man. And congratulations, seriously, on all the success. And I know the weekend off is deserved, but you got to be thinking, man, we got to keep this momentum going. I can't take a week off.
I can take a week off.
Attaboy. Spoken like a true veteran.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Wilkesboro tomorrow, just watch, see what's going on. There's a little tire test going on there to get ready. So I'll get my little day in, and think I'll be okay. But, yeah, I got some race cars to finish up here, and we got some big events coming up, so we need to get ready.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. That's Tommy Baldwin Jr., owner of Tommy Baldwin Racing, 3-time winner already this year in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour in the 7NY. We'll be right back to NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing after this. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Whelen Modified Tour, ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today. And welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing. Just heard from the legendary Tommy Baldwin Jr. Kyle, never short on opinions, but he kept it pretty tame for this interview, so I appreciate that. But how special is it for him to have this role of success for his team after all that he's done in the world of motorsports? But now I think he's really found his home, his niche back in the Modified Series. And you heard it. NASCAR's off the table, but I think he's still paying attention pretty closely what's going on.
And doing it in honor of his dad, the late, great Tom Baldwin Sr., who I had a privilege of knowing, one of the biggest, brightest personalities in the NASCAR modified garage throughout the 80s, the 90s, and into the early 2000s until his untimely passing. So Tommy Jr. picking up right where he left off, making him proud. Nice to see that 7NY not only back on the racetrack with Tom Baldwin Sr.'s colors of the black and white from years ago, but back in Victory Lane as well at all of these racetracks that his dad found so much success at during his career.
Certainly was special. Appreciate Tommy Baldwin Jr. for coming on the show. All right, time to look ahead. It's Go With The Flow, our race weekend calendar here presented by Flow Racing. And both of us are back to work, Kyle, Ricky. I was at the Indy 500 this past weekend. Got the suntan. It was nice to be a fan again in front of 300,000 people, but it's time to go back to work. For you, it starts with the ARCA West Series out at Portland, way up in the Pacific Northwest. And that you could hear on MRN, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. Kyle, ARCA at Portland, what should we expect?
Did you see the race last year?
Exactly.
I mean, it was, I don't know how they get through turn one. I mean, the Xfinity series is going to be interesting as well, with 40 of those cars. ARCA last year, I think, had 20 or 24 in the race, and they struggled to get through that turn 1, 2, and 3 complex. I mean, it is so tight, so narrow, so sharp. It'll be fun to watch, but that's I think we're on position for the Motor Racing Network crew this weekend, so it's going to be fun. But it's going to be interesting. We haven't seen the ARCA, the Menard Series West Series for 3 or 4 weeks now, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
And the first of 2 short track race or 2 road course races, as they'll be at Sonoma next week as well. So going to be interesting. A lot of new names in the field that are road course specific. So we could have a new winner come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'll be tuned in after our coverage on the Motor Racing Network of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Gateway. That'll be 1 o'clock on MRN Eastern Time on Saturday. So a double dose of NASCAR action, a double dose of Chris and Kyle once again on the Motor Racing Network coming up this weekend on Saturday. In the short track world, we have the late model 100 out at South Boston, another iconic racetrack. gearing up for their SRX series. Hello, I was going to say Southwest Series. SRX series debut coming up a little bit later this summer. But the Late Model 100 is an interesting race. Anytime you put 100 laps with late models at an iconic track like South Boston, it's going to be tight door-to-door racing, and you can see it on Flow.
And a good field of cars expected as well, and that'll play well for those drivers running for the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts National Championship. Maximum point type of night, and a possible big win in the process could propel them even further in the national championship standings.
The Madhouse is back in action, Bowman Gray Stadium. Kevin Powell Motorsports 100 for the modifieds. We've been pretty much, I guess, our expectations have matched what we've seen as far as so far the racing at Bowman Gray. Awfully hard to pass, a lot of beating and banging as we're accustomed to seeing. But this race is pretty special, so I can only imagine that the anticipation level a little bit higher for this weekend at Bowman Gray.
And can Burt Myers get back on the rails? They have struggled this season, even with a backup car last week. Didn't have the best of nights during the Twin 25s. So we'll see if Burt can get back to victory lane in a race that he has found so much success in over the years.
And Kyle Rickey, as we mentioned at the top of the show, out at Stafford Speedway. You've got a big weekend coming up on Friday night, the SK Modifieds. Or is that on Saturday, Kyle?
That's Friday night. SK Modifieds are here, along with the SK Lights and the late models. It is kids' night, so there'll be a big wheel race. It was a photo finish a couple of weeks ago. We had to go to the video replay up on the big video board to determine who won.
Wow.
Crowd got into it. Drivers got into it. It was fun. And
so they don't put transponders on the big wheels and let time.
I said that on the PA. If we only had transponders.
Well, maybe Friday night they'll surprise you. I don't know, but big wheel race, I could probably still fit in one of those. Maybe I'll come out there and give it a go. Should be a fun time out at Stafford again. Hopefully the weather holds off. What's the forecast looking like?
So far, so good. Chance of showers at 10 a.m., and then it's going to cool off to about 72 degrees and sunny skies. So hopefully I'll be watching on Flow, too, from Portland. So.
Well, we'll see what happens there on Friday night at Stafford. Now, we're going to switch to the dirt because one of my favorite events of the year, and their weather forecast is 50-50, so we'll see what happens. But Indiana Midget Week for the USAC National Midget Series kicks off this weekend. They actually run 8 races in a total of 10 days, even though the schedule's for 7 out of 10 because they also have Tri-City and Granite City, Illinois the day before coming up on Thursday, June 2nd. But Indiana Midget Week kicks off Friday with Bloomington, Indiana. Then you have Lawrenceburg, Indiana on Saturday, and Tri-State or Hopstadt, Indiana on Sunday to kick off a grueling stretch for the midgets. A lot of short track stars are in the field, like Buddy Kofoid trying to defend his Indiana Midget Week title from a year ago. Buddy, we've seen him in a truck. We've seen him in a late model. Certainly going to be one to watch, Kyle. As a dirt fan like you are, I know, it's always special to watch midgets, especially in the state of Indiana.
It is. You get the best of the best, and you have to watch the best of the best do this. As you mentioned, 7 out of 10 nights or 8 out of 10 nights beginning Thursday at Granite City, a track I've been to. It's only a couple of miles behind the backstretch of Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway, where the Cup cars will be this weekend. So a fun way to start the race weekend for race fans out there. I think it's only like 6 or 7 miles away. So head out, see the national midgets in action before you take a full weekend of NASCAR competition. Then the midgets head back to Indiana, and I think every night will be on Flow, and they were fun to watch last year, and it'll be fun to watch again this year. Yeah,
I may have to take the rental car keys from Steve Post here on the Motor Racing Network and go venture on out to Granite City. Well, I'm pretty sure he'd come with me because, let's be honest, the guy's a big dirt fan. So we'll see what happens there on Thursday night. CRA Super Late Models at Jennerstown, first time ever they've been there. Had to mention that. That is a big event. Jennerstown just put on a whale of a show for the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. Can't imagine it'll be anything different than with the CRA All-Star Super Late Models. And Kyle, the list goes on. Flow Racing has it all, including Berlin setting up for a big weekend. I think next weekend on June 8th, I saw Eric Jones is entered for that event. I think Carson Hocevar is going back, but this is kind of the tune-up there out at Berlin.
It's at the Money in the Bank, I believe, for Berlin Speedway. Our Jeff Striegel helping promote that event out at the Berlin Speedway, so he'll be tuned in as well. Actually, that's a midweek race, so he'll be able to attend.
Looking forward to it, and I'm sure I'll talk to Jeff about it coming up this weekend. So wherever you are across the country, lots of racing going on as we kickstart the month of June. Should be an exciting one as the temperatures go up. The action on the racetrack certainly heats up. We'll be here to cover it all. on next week's show. Kyle, safe travels out to Portland again, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on the Motor Racing Network. ARCA West from Portland. Do you know where you're positioned at so folks can listen in?
I think somewhere around Calamity Quarter, which is turn 1. Turn 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think I'm around that end of the speedway. I've never been to Portland International Raceway before, so this is a new track for me to knock off the list. Can't wait to get out there.
And I'll start the weekend off with the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Gateway Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern time on the Motor Racing Network from Pit Road. We'll also have Cup coverage on Sunday, practice Friday, all the good stuff to watch coming up and listen to this weekend. All right, Kyle, enjoy the rest of your week. Get ready for a busy weekend out at Portland, and safe travels, my friend.
You as well. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good, and appreciate all you race fans tuning in to the Motor Racing Network's NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing. Wherever you are, have a great weekend of racing, and we'll look forward to chatting next week. If you enjoyed this episode of NASCAR Coast to Coast, be sure to subscribe to Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots, where you can catch the Whelen Modified Tour, the ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today.